I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's being safe. I hope everybody's being smart. I hope everybody is working on the person within. Now, let's get into this. Because I know based on the last video and based on the last short, I had planned to go into actually talking about the emotional chart with the low vibrations and the high vibrations and all of that. That was supposed to be the next video where we delve into that and we actually start talking about the difference between high vibrational emotions and low vibrational emotions. And I'm still intending to do that video. It very well may be uploaded today, if not today, tomorrow. But I got another message that was more important. And if you look at the shorts, you'll see I did a short talking about darkness and exposing what's really hidden and lurking in the darkness. Right? And that's what I want to get into today. I want to get into the very reason why we have been trained, we have been programmed, especially us melanated folk. Us melanated folk. We have definitely been trained and programmed to be afraid of the dark, to be scared of the dark, to be afraid of what may be unknown in the dark, because it's dark. So sometimes you can't see very well in the dark. So you don't know what's in there. And we have been trained and programmed to be afraid of the dark. You understand? To associate everything evil and everything bad with the dark, with darkness, with black. We're going to get into that. As a matter of fact, we're going to do a little bit of that thing that they did in Malcolm X. Well, it was done in real, well, it happened in real life, where when Malcolm X was in prison, the brother from the Nation showed him all the differences between how the use of the word, how the word black was used compared to how the word white was used, right? And this is not, understand me, this is not meant to be anything racist. This is not meant to be racial. This is not meant to down white folks or whatever. But this is just meant to show you how we, especially us melanated folks, have been programmed and trained so that we wouldn't find out who we really are, so that we wouldn't know who we really are, so that we wouldn't remember, so that everything that we knew about ourselves, everything that we could just look at and see about ourselves, would be associated with something bad. It would be associated with something evil. So that's the reason why I want to get into this conversation about darkness, about dark, about the word black, and all of that, is so that we can, remove this veil and we can expose some stuff so that black people, that's, quote unquote black people, melanated folks, highly melanated folk, highly pigmented folk, could realize that all of this was meant to keep you from finding out who you really are, and the power that really exists within you, and how long you have been here, how long you have been here on this planet Earth. Okay, so let's get into this. Now, the first thing I need to do is check my receipt so my head won't start hurting. So y'all hold on a minute. But I really like that music. Did y'all like that music? That ominous dark music. Yeah, it's a reason why they call it dark music. You know what I'm saying? You it's dark chocolate. Okay, yeah, we're gonna get into it. Hold on, y'all. I'm coming. Let me get my let me wet my whistle so I can talk. All right. Now, and this is just a disclaimer. As y'all know, I'm not coming at this from a scientific perspective. There are people that break it down to the very last proton, neutron, proton, all of that, atom, all of that, as far as the darkness and how It is through the darkness that light, that we see the color spectrum, that we see the different colors, that all of those colors come out of the black, come out of the darkness. Without the darkness, without black, there is no light. So that's the first thing. Without the darkness, there is no light. Just like they say, no pain, no gain. You know, no rain, no sunshine. Okay, well, without black, you have no, without darkness, you have no light. Without the color black, you have none of the other colors that you see. And like I said, I'm not going into it scientifically. If you need scientific breakdowns and all that kind of stuff, and I have heard people break it down, and I probably could if I took my time. But that's not my lane. My lane is to receive this stuff in the simple way that I receive it, and then pass it on to you in the exact same way. Make it as simple as possible to understand. So, and as a matter of fact, over here, when you get into the definition, of the definition of darkness, Wikipedia calls itself trying to break it down a little bit, and it does some scientific stuff as far as perception is concerned, as far as physics is concerned, as far as technical is concerned. So Wikipedia breaks it down a little bit, but I'm not reading from Wikipedia. So if you want to do some of your own maybe scientific research, or if you want to listen to maybe some other people that break some of this stuff down more scientifically, because there is science that backs a lot of what's going on, and a lot of what's being taught, and a lot of what has been taught for years in the spiritual community, science is now coming out supporting everything that's been said. Okay? And there are people that break it down like that, and if I can think about some folks right off bat, I know Billy Carson is one that definitely breaks it down. Black Magic, I think it's Black Magic 316, I believe it is. Brother Rich, he has a lot of people on. That Dr. Phil Valentine. There are a lot of people that break this stuff down scientifically. Okay? But that's not my job. That's not what I do. That's not my lane, and I'm not trying to travel outside my lane. My lane is to bring it to you as simply as I received it. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. Now, the first thing we're going to do is, because I don't intend to be here long, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to give you the Oxford Dictionary definition of dark. As an adjective, the definition is one, with little or no light. And the words that are similar to dark, black, pitch dark, inky, jet black, unlit, unlighted. Those are just some words that are similar to dark, with the meaning of with little or no light, right? Adjective definition 2, of a color or object not reflecting much light, approaching black in shade, dark green, dark blue, right? As a noun, the definition is 1, the absence of light in a place. Caroline was sitting in the dark. Right? And some words that are similar: darkness, blackness, absence of light, gloom, gloominess. So you see, all of these words that are kind of similar to dark, or kind of helping to describe dark, are all kind of depressing, gloomy, sad, kind of bad words. You know what I'm saying? They don't have any kind of happy connotation attached to them. They're not associated with anything that would appear to be happy or joyful or peaceful or whatever, right? Noun number 2, a dark color or shade, especially in a painting. Lights and darks are juxtaposed arbitrarily to create a sense of shallow relief. That's like in artistic terms, right? Okay, let's look at the definition here of darkness, because you can click on the definition of darkness right here. It says the definition of darkness, plural, darkness is the partial or total absence of light. Then they got stuff, they began to make camp before darkness fell, the darkness of his jacket, wickedness and this is number 2, when you talk about darkness. Number 2, now, wickedness or evil, the forces of darkness, wickedness, corruption, sin, sinfulness, immorality. These are all the words that are attached to and the connotations that are given to the word darkness. And remember, they just said over there dark, that darkness was a word that was similar to dark, right? Evil, wickedness, corruption, sin, sinfulness, iniquity, immorality, unhappiness, distress or gloom, secrecy or mystery, the lack of spiritual or intellectual enlightenment, ignorance. All of these words are associated with darkness. It says the lack of spiritual or intellectual enlightenment, ignorance. The example they have is his accomplishments shown in a world of darkness. Okay, I'm just letting some of this sink in. So as I said in the short, when you get to talking about dark, when you get to talking about darkness, you understand what I'm saying? And you begin to understand the reason why we were programmed as small children. And when I say we, I'm not just talking about melanated people. I'm talking about people, period. Especially the lower classes. Those that didn't know the secrets. Those that they were trying to keep the secrets from. And we know who they are. Come on now, let's be real. That 1%. You know, those that are trying to maintain power over the masses and control everything. They are the ones that made sure that you got programmed from a child to be afraid of the dark, to be scared of the dark, to associate the dark slash darkness with anything evil, anything bad, anything wicked. Now you understand the reason why. Well, you're getting to that point where you're understanding the reason why. Okay? Now, let's go over here because they say absence of light, they talk about color and all of that. Let's get over here and let's talk about black. Let me look up, hold on, I meant to add the definition of black. All right, this is again Oxford Languages. It says of adjective for black, of the very darkest color owing to the absence of or a complete absorption of light, the opposite of white, black smoke. Then number 2 is talking about black folks or sub-Saharan African ancestry, black color or pigment, a member of a human group having dark colored skin, make something black to blacken, dated British, refuse to handle goods, undertake work, or having dealings with a person or business as a way of taking industrial action. The union blacked the film because overtime was not being paid. Okay, so those are the definitions that they're given for black, right? Similar words are dark, pitch black, as black as pitch, pitch dark, jet black, inky. Okay? So that's the definition of black. Now, we're going to get into just some words that begin with the word, compound words that begin with the word black in the English language, right? And this is the thing that we know that Malcolm X went through when he went to prison and he began his spiritual awakening and finding out who he was and learning about himself. We know that this is one of the things that he went over, is that he had to read the whole dictionary from beginning to end. And he found out the difference between the use of the word black and the use of the word white, right? So these are just some of the words that begin with the word black. Blackguard, someone who behaves without honor. Blacklist, a list of people or things that are regarded as unacceptable or untrustworthy. Blackmail, to demand payment from someone in return for not revealing damaging information about them. Blackball, to reject someone's application. Blacken, to damage someone's reputation, to blacken someone's reputation. Blackleg, a person who continues working when fellow workers are on strike. Blackout, a temporary loss of consciousness. And in this little section it says all these words are somehow negative. Of course, many black words and terms are neutral because they simply refer to the color. However, the only positive black term that I can think of is in the black, i.e. when a person or a company has money in their bank account. So this was just a blog that somebody did. You understand what I'm saying? And he didn't like how the word black was used in these compound words to suggest something negative. And usually, when the word black is used with other words in a compound word, it does give off a negative connotation. It does spin something negative or something evil or whatever, right? So this is just part of the training, the programming that we have all received as far as darkness, blackness is concerned, right? Now we understand that when it comes to human beings, the more pigment, the more melanin you have, the more pigmented your skin color will be. Right? So that's based on melanin. Melanin is a chemical. I think they said it was an alkaline, and it's all over your body. It runs all through your body, right? And the more melanin you have, the more pigmented your skin will be, which means the darker in color it will be, right? The less melanin you have, the less pigment you have, and the lighter your skin will be. Right? But that black substance that they call melanin is also a substance that's in the universe. And that's the reason why the universe, the sky, the universe as we see it, as we know it, is so dark, is so black. Because that same melanin that is in every human being, just because you're white doesn't mean you don't have melanin. It just means you have a far less amount of melanin. But you still have melanin in your body. It's rare for people to be born without any melanin. It's a few, but it's rare. And that melanin is actually a substance, they say it's the substance that the universe is created from. So it is that melanin that produces darkness. It is that melanin that produces black. The more pigment you add to any color, the darker that color gets. So let's say black as a color is the melanin. The more black you add to any color, the darker that color gets. Okay? Now, like I said, I'm not going to break down all the science of it because I don't know it all, and I don't want to tell you something wrong. But I do know that without that darkness, without that black, you can't have light. Because there's a certain way that it felt that waves, and you know, lights come in is a wave. There's a certain way that the wave comes through that melanin, and it flares out, and you get the different colors from that blackness. So it's not devoid of light. It has actually absorbed the light. That's the reason why highly melanated people who have high levels of melanin in their skin and are highly pigmented, that's the reason why the sun, the rays from the sun, don't bother them as much, because they can absorb the sun's rays. They can absorb that light that's coming from the sun. Whereas people with less melanin and lighter skin, it reflects off. The light of the sun, the rays, it reflects. They can't absorb it. They can't get the nutrients and all of that from the sun. Now, that was just a little background. We laying a foundation, okay? So now we understand all of this stuff that's been negative about the word black, about darkness, and all of that. But why? Why train us to be afraid of the dark? You understand what I'm saying? Why program us to be afraid of the dark, to think that anything dark, anything black is evil, is bad, is sinful? What, let's get back to these words that they were talking about again when we talk about darkness. Let's get back to these words that they used. Evil, wicked, corrupt, sinful, immoral, absence of light, gloom, gloominess, lack of spiritual or intellectual enlightenment. That's darkness, right? Okay, so why would they do that? What was the point of doing that? What is it? But yet you notice that a lot of the 1%, a lot of the people that want to control everything, want to dominate everything, want to control the masses, a lot of them, when you do research on them, you find out that they have been involved in the occult. They have been involved in secret societies. They belong to secret societies. They have been involved in things that they would tell us are dark, in things that they would tell us are evil, that you need to stay away from. Places that they tell us are evil. You need to stay away from these places. These places carry dark spirits and dark magic and dark vibes and all of that. They love these places. These are the places where they vacation. These are the places where they own homes and that type of thing, right? So what do they know about the darkness that they don't want us to find out about? So that's the reason why they keep us afraid of it. They keep us running from it. They keep telling us that there's wickedness and evil and all of that in these dark places, in this darkness, right? As a matter of fact, even when you're going through some things in life, you understand what I'm saying? The first thing a person will say is, I've been in a dark place. Or so-and-so and so is really in a dark place right now. Which is meant to say they're in a bad place. They're in a not good place because they're in a dark place right now. Okay. Let's talk about what's really in the dark. Let's expose what's really going on in the dark. Right? And the first thing that we're going to do to expose it, and let me see how much time I got, because like I said, I'm not trying to be here all day. All right, let's go over here to the Bible, right? And I used to be a very, very, very religious person. I was sold out 100%. You understand what I'm saying? Made some very, very bad decisions and some bad choices because I was sold out. But I woke up from that, realized what organized religion really is and what it was really meant to do is just a control mechanism to control the masses. But I also realized that the Bible is not a religious book. The Bible is a spiritual book. The Bible is a book about prophecy, history, and of a certain people, but it's not a religious book. They tried to use it and make it a religious book. They changed a lot of it with all of these different versions and all of these different translations and all of that. They tried to turn it into a religious book so that they could use it against people, against the masses, but it's not. In its original form, the Bible is a spiritual book full of spiritual teachings, right? But let's go to Genesis. Let's go to the very, very, very first book of the Bible and the very second verse. So we're going to read Genesis 1 and 2, right? In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form. So it didn't have a shape. It didn't have any form. It was just kind of like just a blob, right? And it was void, which means just simply means it was empty. It didn't have any shape, no form, like a blob, and it was empty. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. Right? And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So we got darkness in there. We got earth. Hadn't been shaped yet, hadn't been formed, hadn't been filled with anything yet. It's just an empty void and it's dark. Right? But who is also there? The Spirit of God. This eternal being. This all-knowing, all-powerful being is there, right there, in all of this darkness. In all of this emptiness where there's no real shape, no form, nothing is going on. It's just blah. It's just there. But God is there as well. And out of the darkness, out of this, within this dark, empty place that has no form, it hasn't been shaped yet, it's just a blob, it's just blah. Out of that, God said, this is verse number 3, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. So where do you think that light came from? The only thing that he says was there, because there was no form, it was void, so that means it was basically empty. The only two things that we know for a fact that were there was the darkness and the Spirit of God. Those are only two things that were there. The darkness and the Spirit of God, the power of God, the Word of God. And so God said, okay, now we need some light. We got some dark, now we need some light. So where do you think the light came from? It came out of this darkness. Now, we're going to go down a little bit more, right? We're going to go down to, 4, right? And God saw the light that he had just called forth out of the darkness. The light that God had just called forth out of the darkness. And God saw the light. He saw that the light was good and divided the light from the darkness. What did he not do? He divided the light that he had just saw, that he had just pulled out of the darkness, the light that he had just called out of the darkness. He saw the light. He saw that the light was good. The light is good. I like this. You understand what I'm saying? And then he divided, which means he separated the light from the darkness. What did he not do? He did not use the light that he had just called from the darkness to destroy the darkness. He saw the light was good. Okay, the dark must have already been good because it was there. He kept it. He didn't get rid of it. So the darkness must have been good too. And then he separated them. He didn't use one to destroy the other. He didn't use one to overcome the other or consume the other. He kept them both. Why? Because both of them were good. The light and the darkness. Why? Because he realized I can't get rid of the darkness because I just called the light out of the darkness. So now I have two forces instead of one. So I'm going to separate them. And then when he separated them, what did he do? And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. One was day. Why? Because he knew already that the human eye needed to be illuminated so that it could see some stuff easily. But he also knew we got to have some night. We got to have darkness. Why? Because the only way you can call forth light is you have to have darkness. So for all you Christian folk, all you religious folk that run around scared of the dark, teaching your children to be scared of the dark, afraid of the dark, here it is right here in the Bible telling you that the darkness was just as important and it was just as good as the light, and that God never had any intention of getting rid of darkness. He gave it a name. He gave it a place. And it was there. Darkness, not light, darkness has been here since the very creation of the world. Since the very creation, darkness has been here. And like I said, the God that everybody says is, oh, ain't he good? Won't he do it? That God who hates evil and loves eschews evil and loves goodness and light and all of that, he didn't get rid of the dark. He didn't let the light consume the dark. Why? Because he knows how important the darkness is to what? Creation. Yeah, y'all, this one gonna take a little bit longer than I thought. He knows how important darkness is to creation. Why? Because darkness was there at the very beginning of creation. Again, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Darkness was there. Before anything else was there, darkness was there. And out of that darkness, God called forth light. He created light out of that darkness. And then he took the two and separated them. So God is telling us here, the universe, the source of all things, is telling us here that without darkness, you cannot have creation. You cannot create without darkness. Okay, let's prove that. Let's prove that you can't create without darkness. That creation takes place in darkness. Right? Okay, let's go to the easiest one. Let's go to the easiest, simplest one that most people can relate to. All people should be able to relate to it, but most people can relate to it. Where is a child for 9 months? Where is a baby for 9 months? After the parents done had sex, or however that thing is done, you understand what I'm saying? The egg has decided which sperm it's going to allow to come in and fertilize. You understand what I'm saying? That fertilized egg then travels through the fallopian tube up into the uterus, which is dark. The womb is dark. All of that in there is dark. You can't see it because it's in a dark, hidden place. You can find it. You can put a light up in there and look around. And when you look around, all you see, sonograms. Look how all that blackness is around them sonograms. All that blackness. The only thing that's enhanced, is enlightened, is the shape of the fetus. Everything else around there is dark, pitch black. So this fertilized egg travels up into the uterus, the womb, the dark womb, attaches itself to the uterine wall, and things start happening. And everything for the next 9 months or however long it takes, you understand, everything else happens in this dark place. In this dark place that's filled with fluid. That's what you see on that sonogram. Them little white lines and whooshing up, that's the fluid. That's the amniotic fluid. That's what's reflecting the light, the water, the fluid. But all of that in there is dark. That's the reason why babies cry when they first come out. It's because the light hits them. And they have been in this dark, warm, wet place for all of this time. And now all of a sudden they're being exposed to this bright light, to this coldness. And it's a shock to their systems. It's dry, it's cold, it's light. And we spend the rest of our lives trying to get warm, comfortable, cozy. In a place where it's kind of dark, you might have some shadows because you got a candle lit or whatever, but you're trying to get to a place. But then somebody else comes in and trains your subconscious mind to be afraid of the darkness that you just came out of. The darkness that supported you. The darkness that gave you life. That womb is dark, and that womb gave you life. That womb gave you everything that you needed so that you could be brought forth out of the darkness into the light and survive in this light. In this harsh, cold light. Okay, let's go to nature. Butterflies. That caterpillar, when it's time for that caterpillar to transform and become something new and become something beautiful, something that it's never been before, it goes into the dark seclusion of a cocoon. It's dark in there. That caterpillar is where? That caterpillar is in a dark place. He's secluded in a dark place. Not a place of evil, not a place of wickedness, not a place of gloom and sadness and unhappiness, but a place where a transformation is taking place. A place where a rebirth is taking place. And once that transformation is complete, whoosh, this butterfly is born out of this darkness. So understand, it takes darkness to create anything. Let's go a little bit further. You take a seed and put a seed in a hole in the ground and cover it up. It's dark down there. Ain't no light down there in the earth. It's been buried. It has to go down in there and it has to die in the dark, alone. But while it's down there in the dark, dying alone, it gives birth to something else. And the darkness and the nutrients in the dark earth and all of that feed it. And it grows 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 until finally there comes that moment when out of the darkness it bursts forth. And now you have this sprout. It might be a sprout of a tree. It might be the sprout of a rose. It might be the sprout of an apple tree. It might be the sprout of some corn. It might be the sprout of some green beans or whatever. But after it has finished its transformation in that dark, secluded place, in darkness, then it springs forth ready for the light. Ready for what the light has to offer. but it had to go into the dark womb of Mother Earth to receive everything that the darkness had to offer, to prepare it to be ready for what the light has to offer. That's the reason why in the creation story, God didn't get rid of the dark. Why? Because he realized, okay, I need the dark to create. Without darkness, I cannot create. Because the darkness gives creation, what I'm trying to create, the darkness gives it everything that it needs to survive in the light. Let's take it even further. For those of you who don't know anything about gardening and all of that kind of stuff or whatever. Okay, say for instance you decide that you want to grow some flowers. Right? You got to go get you a pot. You got to put some soil, dark soil, in this pot and soil, whatever you call it. You got to put it in there. Then you got to put your seeds in there and you got to bury them deep down so that they can grow some roots. Because roots don't grow up, roots grow down. Roots bury themselves deeper and deeper and deeper into the darkness of that earth. Whether it be the earth, or whether it be that pot and soil that you put in that pot. And then once that seed dies and busts open and does everything that it has to do between it and that dark soil in that dark place, then when the time comes, if it lives, if it survives, it bursts forth and now it's ready to receive the light. Now it's ready to receive what the light has to offer. But it has to go through that darkness. It has to be in that dark place in order for it to receive what it needs to grow. To grow, to transform, to change, to become what it's meant to become. The seed is not what you're meant to become. The seed is what has to be buried. That little sperm wiggling around and that egg is not what you're meant to become. You got to stay in that dark womb for 9 months, 10 months, 7 months, however long. You understand what I'm saying? In order for you to receive everything that you need so that when you come out here in the light, you can become what you were meant to become. The transformation takes place in the dark. That caterpillar was not always meant to be a caterpillar. It's meant to become a butterfly. But if it don't go in that dark cocoon to begin that transformation and to give it everything that it needs so that it can become what it needs to become, it'll never become a butterfly. Hope y'all listening. That's the secret that they didn't want you to know. That's the reason why they kept you afraid of the dark. That's the reason why they kept telling you that only thing in the dark is evil. The only thing that's in the dark is wicked. You need to be afraid of the dark. You know, it's something under your bed. It's something in your closet. You need to be afraid of the dark. Why? Because they knew that you cannot create anything without darkness. Even you yourself. When you have heartache, when you have trauma, when you have pain, when you're going through a rough time, and people say you're in a dark place. No, you're just in a place where you're growing. You're in a place of darkness where you're receiving everything that you need so that when you burst forth into the light again, you'll have what you need to become who you're supposed to become in the light. That's the reason why some of us are going through dark things. That's the reason why there appears to be a darkness in our lives right now. Or we appear to be in a dark place right now. It's because we're in a place where we're transforming. We're in a place where we're receiving all the stuff that we need to become the person that we're really meant to become. The person who went into that darkness is not who you're really supposed to be. It's not the person that you're supposed to become. But in order for you to become who you're supposed to become and do what you're supposed to do here on this earth, you have to go through the darkness. Because it's in the darkness where you'll be transformed. It's in the darkness where you'll receive all the nutrients, all the information, everything that you need, so that when you burst forth, you're ready. You're ready for what the light has to offer. That's the reason why some of us can't change. That's the reason why some of us can't create the lives that we want and create new things in our lives. Is because we don't want to go to that dark place. We're afraid of the darkness. We're afraid of the unknown in the darkness. No, that's exactly where you need to go. You need to go to that dark place, because that dark place is there to transform you. That dark place is there to change you from a caterpillar to a butterfly. To change you from an apple seed to an apple tree. To change you from a fetus to a full-grown adult. That's what that dark place is meant to do. That's what the darkness is meant to do. Now, are there bad things in the darkness? Yes, there are bad things in the darkness. It's not the darkness that's bad. Yes. People do all kinds of horrible things under the cover of darkness. But it's not the darkness that's bad. It's the person that's bad. It's the person that's using the darkness to cover the evil that they're doing. The person is evil, not the darkness. The person is wicked, not the darkness. But we have been trained, we have been programmed to actually fear the darkness, to actually fear black. Why? Because black is the color that represents darkness. We have been programmed to actually fear that. Darkness, dark, the dark, black. That's the reason why melanated people are in such a conundrum all over the world. It's because for centuries you were taught to hate you. Because of how you look. Because of the pigment in your skin. Because the pigment in your skin made you darker than everybody else. And you were taught that that darkness is evil. That black is evil, that it's wicked, that it's bad, that it's wrong. You should hate it. You should be afraid of it. You should be in fear of it. So that's the reason why so many melanated people around the world hate themselves and hate everybody that looks like them. It's because you've been programmed to be afraid of and to hate darkness and to always run around looking for the lightest thing you can find. And that's the reason why your whole ability, your whole power to create has been thrown completely off, is because you are afraid of the thing that you need the most. Darkness to create. That's the reason why you're so unsatisfied, so just so unhappy, so unfulfilled. It's because you are afraid of yourself. And it's the darkness in you. It's the melanin in you that gives you such a heightened ability and a heightened power to create. Why? Because nothing can be created without darkness. Even in these labs. You understand what I'm saying? They put stuff in darkness, in them little petri dishes and all that stuff that they use. They put that stuff in darkness. They put it in all kinds of machines and everything that are dark. They cut off the lights and everything in the labs and let that stuff brew and germinate and all of this kind of stuff for days and days and days in darkness. And when they go back to it and turn the light on, they done created something. And if what they created is not something good, it's not because of the darkness. It's because of their intention. It's because of what they were trying to create. What they intended to create is not good. Has nothing to do with the darkness. That's just like you could take the earth and the darkness that the earth provides to create the womb of Mother Earth, and you can create fruit trees to feed everybody. You understand what I'm saying? And food and all of this to feed people. Or you can do what some of these companies like Monsanto's and others, you can do what they're doing and create this genetic or whatever, bioengineered food and all of this kind of stuff that's actually harmful to human beings. Should not be consumed by human beings. They're using the same Mother Earth, the womb, the darkness of Mother Earth to create. But one thing is good, the other thing is not so good. And that's not because of the darkness. The darkness is going to do what it's supposed to do. It's going to create. It's because of the intention of the person. It's the intention of man that makes things either good or bad. It's not the darkness. So no, don't be afraid of the darkness. Be watchful of the folks in it. That's what we have to understand. It's not the darkness that's creating the evil. It's not the darkness that's creating the wickedness and the bad stuff. It's not the melanin, the blackness that's creating anything bad. It's the intention of people. So you be careful and you be mindful and you be watchful of the people in the dark. But there's no need to be afraid of the darkness, because it's not the darkness that's going to harm you. It's the intention of the people in the dark that's going to harm you. But that's the reason why, especially with melanated people, we have been so programmed to be afraid of the dark. So programmed to feel like there's something lurking, something evil, something bad lurking in the dark. That's the reason why in most horror films that you see, most horror films, not all, but I would say 95% of the horror films that you see that have a black person in the cast, that black person is usually one of the first people to get killed off in that horror film. Why? Programming you, conditioning you to be afraid of the dark, to look for death in the darkness. But how many movies has darkness itself actually killed somebody? Usually it's something in the darkness that's doing the killing, that's doing the harming. And it's usually a human or some form of person that used to be a human and now they something else, some kind of monster or whatever. But it's never the actual darkness that's doing the killing. It's never the actual black that's doing the evil, the wickedness, the harm. It's usually, like I said, a person or a thing that used to be a person, some type of monster. But it's never the actual darkness. Why? Because darkness is not meant to hurt anybody. That's the reason why we have to be careful of our intentions. That's the reason why we have to be careful of what we're going to go back over with these vibrational emotions. High vibrational emotions, low vibrational emotions. We have to be careful of our motives and our intentions. But understand, it's not the darkness that's going to do you any harm. It's not the blackness. It's not the melanin that's going to hurt you. You understand what I'm saying? If that melanated person is evil, it's not because of the melanin. It's because that person is just evil. It's about that person. It's about their environment. It's about what they've been taught. It's about all the lessons and everything and the traumas and everything that they've been through in their lives that have shaped them mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But it's not about the melanin that's in their skin. But now you see the reason why, just based on your Bible, based on nature, based on how everything is created and born into this realm and born into this natural physical world. Now you see how it happens. It all takes place in darkness, because darkness is where we create. You notice with beehives and wasp nests and all of this kind of stuff, usually they put those places, they put those hives, those nests in dark places. They're not out in the open, wide open, where the sun is shining on them and all of that. Even if you go on your porch or whatever, at your house or whatever, it's usually tucked behind a rafter, or it's tucked behind a door or something like that. It's in a dark place. Why? Because creation takes place in darkness. It takes place in the dark. Transformation takes place in the dark. And you have to understand that as a human being with all of this creative power in you, you have to understand that if you are afraid to go in the dark, if you are afraid of the darkness, if you are afraid of the blackness, the pitch black of the night, or the pitch of darkness, or whatever, if you are afraid of that, you'll never be able to fully create. Just like you hear some artists talk about some of the best music that they ever created, they created while they were in a dark place, while they were depressed, or after a heartbreak, or after a breakup, or after they had lost somebody that they loved, or when they were going through some grieving, some period of grief or whatever. They created some of the best music, or some of the best poetry, or some of the best art, sculptures, paintings, all of that, when they were in this dark place, going through these dark emotions. Why? Because when you're in the darkness is when you are most creative. That transformation, that transformative process is hidden in the darkness. That's what's hidden in the darkness. Transformation. Change. The reason why a lot of people can't change themselves is because they don't want to go into themselves. They don't want to go into the darkness within themselves. So they constantly out here running around trying to act like they trying to gather all of this light and all of that. No. Nothing around you is going to change. Your life is not going to change. Your circumstances are not going to change. Nothing is going to change until you're willing to go into the darkness of you. The darkness of who you are. The darkness within you. And that darkness is not there to hurt you. That darkness is not there to kill you. That darkness is not there to threaten you. That darkness is there for you to go in there and do some transforming. Do some changing. Do some creating. Recreate yourself. You have been given the power of God to create. And God shows you from the very beginning that he created out of darkness. He didn't do away with the darkness. He didn't eliminate the darkness. He didn't obliterate the darkness. He didn't throw the darkness away. He kept the darkness. Why? Because he knew. That's where the creative power is. It's in the darkness. That's why you don't see everything that the ocean has to offer at the very top. You have to go deep You have to go deep, and the deeper you go, the darker it gets, and the more stuff you see. Go down there deep enough, and you'll see stuff that you never imagined, stuff that might scare you. You know what I'm saying? But in order for you to see what the ocean has created, you got to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and it gets darker and darker and darker. Why? Because without darkness, there is no creation. That's what they didn't want you to know. That's the secret that they've been trying to hide from you. Is that all of your creative ability is in the darkness. Now, what you choose to create in the darkness is entirely up to you. It can be good or it can be bad. But it's not because the darkness is good or bad. It's because the darkness holds the creative power. How you use that power is entirely up to you. Hold on, there was something else. There was one more thing that I wanted to tell y'all, and I don't know whether I'm going to be able to find it or not. It was a Bible scripture that came to me just now while I was talking. And it amplifies this. It brings it all together. And I cannot think of what it is right this minute. I can't think of what it is. But that's what I wanted to talk to y'all today about. That's what was so pressing for me that I had to put the other video to the side. I'm still coming back with the video where we talk about high vibrational emotions compared to low vibrational emotions. And it all ties together. But this was what was pressing. Is to let us know that we don't have to fear the dark. We don't have to fear the darkness. We don't have to fear what's black. We don't have to fear melanated people. We don't have to, it's not the darkness, it's not the blackness that's there to hurt you. And melanated people really need to get this. But because the more melanin you have in your body, the more creative power you have. So you have definitely been programmed to be afraid of the dark, to hate the dark, to hate your melanin, to hate, you're actually being taught to hate and be afraid of your own creative power, your own ability to create and recreate and procreate and all of that. But that's the whole mystery. It's not as deep as it seems to be. It's not that deep. But that's what they didn't want you to know. They didn't want you to put 1 and 2 together and come up with 3. They didn't want you to put the simple math together and come up with it. That everything, all life, is created in the darkness. Everything that's created is created in some dark place. And it's been right here, right in front of our eyes for years, and we missed it. We missed it. You understand what I'm saying? That's the reason why you, again, like I said in the video about vibrations, you got to be careful what you listen to. You got to be careful of the sounds that you take in. You understand? You got to be careful of the images that you take in. Because all of this stuff is programming you to believe something that's not true. There's nothing in the darkness. The darkness itself. There's nothing about the darkness that you need to fear. Now, like I said, yes, you need to be careful of the people in the dark and what their intentions are and what they trying to create in the dark. But the darkness itself is not meant to harm you. So, I'll just leave now. Like I said, you can go over Genesis 1 and you can read that part of Genesis 1. like I said, it was another scripture in the Bible, but I just cannot remember it right now. I mean, even in the part in Genesis 2, where the Bible talks about creating man and woman, and where God put Adam in a deep sleep, and he took a rib out and all of that. What's a deep sleep? Darkness. When you go to sleep, your conscious mind goes dark. Your subconscious mind wakes up, but your conscious mind goes dark. So he put him in a dark place so that he could do what? Create. He couldn't be up moving around in the sunshine, you understand what I'm saying, having a good time and all of that, and God create at the same. No. He had to go to a dark place. He had to go to sleep where his conscious mind was dark in order for God to create. I remember the scripture now. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I'm going to it. Psalm 23. One of the most well-known, most quoted scriptures in the Bible. Psalm 23. Okay? Let's go there. We're going to read the whole thing. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. What do you have to have in order to have a shadow? Now, he done already talked about laying down in green pastures. So that's daylight. That's daylight. That's something that happens during the day. You can see the colors and all of that. He leadeth me beside the still waters. So you walking, beside these still waters, and they still, and you can see them and all that because it's daylight. He restores my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. All of that just speaks of light. All of that just speaks of light and daylight and all of that. But then all of a sudden we get some darkness involved in this. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. So in order for you to have a shadow, what do you have to have? You have to have light and darkness. You're in a room and it's completely dark. Light a candle and all of a sudden you start seeing shadows. Go in there with a flashlight and all of a sudden you start seeing shadows. So in order for you to have a shadow of death, there has to be some darkness in this valley. Right? He said, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. So shadows are not real. So it's casting a shadow. Death is not real. It's just a shadow of death. It's not real death. It's just a shadow of death. Now, some shadows can look like they're real, but it's still just a shadow. Right? I will fear no evil. Well, why is there evil there? It's not because the darkness is there. It's because death is there. I will feel no evil, right? For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Right. What is God doing in that valley? In the shadow of death, where there's darkness, what is he doing? He's creating. He creating a table. You understand what I'm saying? Why do I need a table? Probably because I'm going to sit down and eat. That's what most people use tables for, to sit down and eat. So I'm preparing this table for you, this feast for you. You understand what I'm saying? In the presence of your enemies. I'm creating something for you where there's darkness. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. My cup is running over where there's darkness. Why? Because God is creating something for me in this dark place. In this place of shadows. Like I said, you got to have shadow, you got to have darkness and light together in order to have a shadow. Surely goodness goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So once again, God is showing you where he had darkness, and out of that darkness, he began to create. He began to create this table, to create this table in the presence of the enemies. And how do we know the darkness was there? Because there was a shadow. You cannot have a shadow without having light and darkness. So again, it was right here in front of us all this time. All of this time, and we completely looked over it. We read this Bible. I'm talking about us when I was still a religious person and the religious people that I know. We read this Bible over and over and over and over and over again, and we still allowed our children to be afraid of the dark. We still allowed media and TV and movies and all of that kind of stuff to tell us that the darkness was bad. That the darkness was evil. That the melanin, the blackness was evil. And over again, in this very Bible, God tells us how he creates out of darkness. Another thing, where did Jesus have to go? Jesus had to go in the grave. He had to be buried in a dark tomb. He couldn't rise again to become the Savior of the world, the first among many brethren, until he died and went into the darkness. And it was out of the darkness that he was reborn, that he was recreated, whatever you want to call it, out of the darkness. Why? Because you have to have darkness to create anything. To transform anything, you have to have darkness. In that darkness, Jesus did a transformation. He died one way, he rose another. So that's what I came. That's simply what I came to make sure that you understood the reason why you, especially not just melanated people, but especially melanated people, have been programmed, trained to be afraid of the darkness itself, of blackness itself, of melanin itself. And melanin is the creative force of the universe. That's what the universe is made of. That black matter. It's what it's made of. A black matter. And out of that black matter, all the stars have been created, all the galaxies have been created, all the planets have been created, all of that out of that black matter in the universe. And like I said, that melanin is in every human being, except for the rare cases of those who don't have any. But that melanin is in every human being. So every human being has that melanin to recreate. That darkness, that blackness that has to be there in order for you to recreate. In order for you to create anything, recreate anything, it has to be there. And the more melanated you are, the more powerful your creative ability. So that's it, y'all. Like I said, you can go to Genesis and read Genesis. You can go to Psalms 23 and get it from there. You can go to the story of Jesus' death and his resurrection. You can get it there. All of this where darkness was used for creation. Where darkness had to be there in order for you to create anything. So now you know the reason why. They wanted you and trained you and programmed you to be afraid of darkness. To be afraid of the dark. They don't say, oh, I'm afraid of what's in the dark. No, children say, I'm afraid of the dark. People say, I'm afraid of the dark. So they have literally trained you and programmed you into be afraid of the dark. The darkness. Melanin. So that's it for today, y'all. All the information for the channel, of course, will be listed down in the description box, as well as the information for the publishing. You can go to the internet and get the definitions of darkness, black, all the words that they use, all these negative words that they use that involve the word black. The Bible scriptures. Now I'll put them down there. Genesis and Psalms. And like I said, you can go and read the story of Jesus' death and his resurrection, and you'll see how darkness is used there. It's there. It's there. And now you understand the reason why. Okay? All right, so I want y'all to take care of each other. I want you to take care of yourselves. Go within. Don't be afraid to go into the darkness within you. Because once you get in there and you start doing some work, then that's when transformation will start happening. That's when change will start taking place. That's when your creative abilities will be heightened and will be open to you. And you'll realize that you have the power to create pretty much whatever you want to. Okay? All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.